Welcome to our presentation, Advancing Publishing Beyond the Book, Artificial Intelligence, Machine Learning, Extended Reality, and Personalization. My name's Tony Alves. I'm Senior Vice President of Product at Highwire Press, a division of MPS Limited, and I am here with Kelly Lake, who is the Chief Strategic Officer for EI, which is an e-learning division of MPS Limited. And I will be talking primarily about AI in machine learning. And Kelly will be talking about something much more exciting, extended reality and personalization. And I only say that that's going to be much more exciting because I think a lot of you probably have been hearing a lot about AI and machine learning in the past few months or over the course of the year. So in my talk, I will be giving an overview of the challenges and the opportunities of artificial intelligence in the scholarly publishing sector. I'll first look at how authors are using and thinking about AI. I will then look at publishers' concerns. I'll then, after that, look at some of the AI tools that are being developed and used in today's scholarly publishing processes and workflows. So for authors, and I'm really talking about researchers and scholars, they've been using AI primarily for language cleanup. It really helps non-English speakers level the playing field in an industry that largely publishes in English. Usage for this has really increased, especially with the proliferation of large language models like GPT and Bard. However, it's important for authors to understand that these tools, they provide words and they provide sentences, but they don't provide facts. This means that the content that they generate may or may not be true. And so, beyond content construction, researchers, they're also seeing other opportunities in AI. Researchers are looking to these tools to help with things like data analysis, to discover additional research opportunities within the data, to do things like identify new techniques that they might want to try from the corpus of research. And so, they're uploading information into these large language models, and this becomes a potential problem when those same researchers, they become authors of the research articles or of scientific texts. There's been a lot of attention paid to the tendency for large language models to hallucinate, but many of the authors are still unaware that they need to validate the information that comes out of these tools. They also may not realize that they're uploading their research into proprietary their research and other proprietary content into a system that is going to use that content for its own purposes. So this means that publishers of all types of content, journals, books, video, scripts, they need to be aware of and implement policies to help catch fraud and ensure accuracy. So before I talk about how publishers are using AI tools, I want to address some of the concerns, both with the use of these technologies and by the researcher and with business challenges that are faced by some publishers. As I mentioned, the biggest current problem with generative AI, such as ChatGPT, is that the output can't be trusted. Scholarship, it requires output of these tools to be authoritative, reliable. It should be accurate. And there have been efforts to build AI tools to detect AI-generated content, but there really has, up to now, has been very limited success in that. So this means that a lot of effort by publishers is going into the prevention through education and policy statements or by using different tools that often require human intervention. Also, everyone is wondering how much of their content has already been ingested into AI. So that answer isn't clear, though what is clear is that publishers have an interest in knowing how their content's being used. There's really likely to be a lot more legal inquiries into this, especially as the technology matures and ways of exploring the provenance of content becomes more available. So there have been efforts by publishers to harness the power of AI, but this effort it's uneven. One of the constraints that publishers often face is the lack of technical expertise. And though many of them have been investing in technology solutions, it's often the tech industry that is creating the cutting edge tools. Publishers may find that they need to partner with tech firms to take advantage of those tools. And some of the larger commercial publishers, they've been working with large volumes of content and data for years. So they're now bringing forward the results of those efforts. So Springer just announced their new AI-powered writing assistant, which has been trained on the academic literature, called Curie. And Elsevier and Clarivate they've announced similar solutions. And a really great example of this is what the British Medical Journal is doing with their BMJ Impact Analysis product. It just won an award at the ALPS meeting in September. And it's used to analyze content inside of the published document, things like policy papers, clinical reports, and news articles, to see how the research is being used and how effective or impactful the research is in real life. Because no one publisher has access to the entire corpus of content out there, there are a lot of opportunities for collaboration. Smaller, more niche publishers might look to license their content to enhance the tools of larger publishers, or they might build specific tools that focus on their areas of expertise. So, I've taken a high look at some of the author and publisher related concerns. I'm going to dig into some specific tools. Workflow is really where AI and machine learning have provided tangible benefits. We have a division at MPS called MPS Labs, based in Bangalore, where we are using and exploring a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning and natural language processing to make our traditional content services more efficient and to speed up content development and to ensure the reliability and to get content published faster. And that team is a mix of technology experts and publishing domain experts. I'm going to be talking about a product that we're releasing about at around 4:45 at stand B53, and we'll be serving some champagne. So I encourage you to come by again 4:45 at stand B53. But I want to talk really about some of the things that we've been doing in MPS Labs, where we're really transforming our physical workforce into a digital workforce, using AI to reduce the human effort and minimize guesswork. Meanwhile, our systems, they're continuously learning so that we can optimize them over time. Tools like grammar and diversity, equity, and inclusion checks, content structuring, image processing, content creation that includes accessibility, chatbot technology. Those are all things that we're working on. So AI, it can be used to evaluate content, of course, to address issues like spelling and grammar. But more interestingly, AI can efficiently review and assess content for adherence to things like diversity, equity, inclusion principles. It evaluates language for inclusivity and appropriateness and identifies potential bias in content. The systems recognize DEI words even from contextual perspective, and it notifies copy editors and others and it tells them how to alter them or can do that altering automatically. So based on a confidence score, AI, it's utilized to decide whether to make a change automatically or just provide those suggestions to the editor or to the reviewer. Then content structuring, AI-driven XML structuring. It's a revolutionary solution, and it enables us to structure the content at a very granular level. So traditional methods, which rely on things like manual input, hard-coded rules, those were prone to errors. They're time-consuming. And so, advancements in natural language processing and deep learning, they've enabled the development of element prediction models that can automatically identify and structure the elements within a document. And we're finding that it's about a 98% accuracy rate on that. Things like content generation and alt text, natural language generation, it speeds up the publishing cycle by producing information-rich articles, abstracts, summaries, creates learning objectives. It can create tables of contents. But one of the most important use cases in the generation in content generation is of alt text for things like images and to translate mathematical equations into text, primarily for accessibility purposes. And then image processing. AI can carefully study images and process them. It does it automatically using techniques like cropping and straightening and resizing. The images can also be checked and annotated and included where a QC model can find mistakes. And then, of course, we use a lot of these similar processes in order to do things like detect image manipulation and other image integrity issues. So from there, I'm now going to turn it over to Kelly, who's going to talk about extended reality and personalization opportunities.
Excellent. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. So we've gone through high level a little bit more. Tony delved into AI a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it just a little bit to the right and talk about immersive learning and a little bit more around extended reality and tie in AI to that because it's a part of extended reality, and then talk a little bit about personalization. And I'm sure that hopefully if you don't understand anything that I'm saying, please follow up. We have demos for you too. So be happy to show you how it's applicable. What does it actually look like, right? It's always great to hear about things, but when you actually see it in place, it helps digest it a little bit more. So extended reality. Basically, if you think about this in context, and I just want to level set a definition for everybody so we're on the same page, it's technology that alters, with a digital element, right? Your real world situations or scenarios to give you an immersive effect to it, a deeper dive into interaction, into engagement. There's basically 3 elements that we're going to talk about today to actually give you an idea how to enter if you haven't done this before, if you're thinking about it, what's applicable in your world, right? So we have virtual reality, we have mixed reality, we also have a little bit more of augmented reality. So I want to start with augmented reality. If any of you've had a chance to actually see it or examine it, it actually takes the real world, augments from text, gives you a digital image over top of it that you can interact with. Very easy to get entered into. We're seeing this across the board more and more in publishing. We're using this in the corporate world substantially every day, and it enhances in retention tremendously. Also, mixed reality is actually the best of both worlds. It takes your physical world and it combines it with a digital world on top of it, being able to provide both sides of it. And virtual reality is the whole entire replacement of our current world with a virtual entity into it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that because everybody thinks that virtual reality is just headsets, and it's not. We've gone a little bit beyond that to give you some engagement. And I'll talk about some examples. So we understand that within this realm of extended reality, the nice thing about that is it gives you a more of a level beyond. It's not just a typical overlay of what we're doing, but it also creates and helps distribute as well as, content. It's all about the content, how we're interacting with the content, and what the experience is for the user, the reader, or even the learner on that aspect. We're enhancing that process for them so it creates more retention. Right? So we're not actually approaching them from a flat perspective. How do we get those engagement rates up? Easy ways to do this. So with that, I have some images. We don't have live demos here, but give you some images of what I'm talking about to support this as we go through. Something as simple as being able to take your phone, smartphone, iPhone, being able to leverage it over a flat document and have it come to life, right? So not only that, from images, from text, being able to interact with it. And the nice thing about that is that you have quick accessibility. very easy to access at any particular point in time. It becomes engaging. All of a sudden, maybe some of you have seen some of the VR apps or the AR apps more specifically with travel. You're in a city, you want to know where you are walking along a street, you can pull up your phone and it will show you the tags where you are. Oh, here's the museum, here's this, or whatever mine. That's kind of like basic mainstream. When we take it into books or we take it into journals or we take it anything into that or even learning or courses, it enables that learner to actually click on something that's flat, a textbook, and it comes to life. So you can imagine that type of interactivity and how it pushes you forward with that. Something as simple again as I go back to virtual reality and augmented. With augmented reality, we can do things where we're actually taking pictures, right? Doing 3D imaging of pictures, pulling it into a basic app, and then being able to create content right from there. So it's pretty streamlined on what you can do with that. I'll take this one step further. So when we talk about engagement levels and we talk about making it more engaging from the beginning and more of a cognitive reaction from those people that are demonstrating and going through it allows you to go into a different environment. So as I said before, virtual reality, most people think it's a headset, but now what we can do is we can do what's called a VR tour. So for an example, you have a building, you have, you want somebody to be able to walk into from a browser base, experience a building, walking in, maybe it's a campus, it's a university, maybe it's a business. It gives you that chance to walk through just with your mouse and look and tag different kinds of learning objects, from videos to interactive displays of PDFs to, a little bit more around those different objects. We've done so much work around this, not only from, hospitality or healthcare, or even we're working with a huge hospital right now, being able to provide that, walking through it and examining it from a clinical perspective. We're doing this within manufacturing aspects of it well too. How are we doing this so somebody is trained, on safety, going through being able to examine the different procedures that you're going through in real time, getting real time feedback. So it allows you to actually interact completely with your environment, and you don't have to use the headset, but the headset gives you more of a submersive, totally you're in the environment holistically, completely. And, just one thing I'll throw out, and if you look on the screen right now, these are actual walkthroughs. We call them video walkthroughs of HR and different kinds of aspects from onboarding processes. Pretty simple. How do you get an employee on board? Then something from customer service. So within publishing, there are so many different possibilities that you can think of to be actually using this as an option. Additionally, with platforms, there are several different platforms that are in the market right now. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. For an example, an education platform that it has your different kinds of realities blended into it. So here's a quick case study. Those of you that may be familiar, University of Central Florida, they created a total virtual environment for all of their trainees to be able to go in and learn how to interact in a classroom, a virtual classroom. Completely interactive, interacting with material that's been digitalized for them, a complete setup where they're able to see what's happening, use the tools in the classroom, and be able to have mentoring a part of it with feedback, instant feedback. And it's been highly successful for them in the educational side of the business. Also, a content application. These different kinds of platforms enable you to bring in augmented reality as well as virtual reality within the application itself to work interspersively with content. And the other two are just basic things that you may have seen on the internet, whether it's the mobile XR, which is allowing you to be able to use content with mobile devices, and the same thing with WebXR, which does the same thing. All browser based, very easy to use. And you'd be extremely surprised to realize that the price points are not that high nowadays. We're continuing to move forward. Easy integration. We help strategically with our customers to walk through. So it's just thoughts. Think about where you want to enter the market as well too. Now I want to move into artificial intelligence. Tony did a great job walking through this with us right now, but I want to take it one step on further than where we are. Since I've been here, I've asked so many people, how do you define AI? And I have not heard one definition the same way, which is very interesting because we are using a moving target. There are so many things that are out there in the market. We just heard so many different ways that it's being used in publishing as well. But if you keep in mind that it is specifically the ability for a machine or computer just to be able to perform tasks that use intellect, human intellect. That's the capacity. Now, how it's done is something else. And I will also tell you that we've seen this very proactively across, worldwide organizations, from a data collection, being able to look at it from the back end, increasing operations. very well proven. That's something that you can take a look at. However, if the ultimate goal is to imitate human intellect, remove bias, and remove error, we're a little bit off. And I echo what Tony was saying in regards to that. And I think it's very important for us to think about that, because AI is human generated. Therefore, there will be bias a part of it. And there are some additional legal ramifications, we'll say that, in regards to ensuring that the data privacy is there as well. So high level. So within AI, the next level within AI comes down to machine learning. And the machine learning is just the back end of it to understand how human behavior is indicated with different types of patterns and trends and how we learn. But machine learning actually learns from itself, which is interesting. So from there, we take a step back and say the big impact to publishing across the board has been that aspect of it, not only from machine learning, but from big data, all that data that's being gathered. User preferences, how they're hitting different sites, what they're doing, where their locations are, all comes back in a few minutes, and I'll talk about personalization. And Tony hit on about the images and as well as the patterns and the trends, something that we're looking at across the board for our clients. But what are the benefits? We hear certain things that come back to say, okay, we're concerned about the data privacy. We're concerned about, is it reliable enough? How much human interaction is involved with it? If you think and you go beyond, the chat GPT and you think about the check facting, really I want to talk about the reliability of fact checking. Right. And then also, what does that look like from a customer engagement? What does it look like from the information that's being transferred over? And again, understanding that it's there for more discovery. How are we going to be more successful? Do we know with the end user? Do we understand what they're doing? Do we understand their patterns? How will that affect us as we move forward? And that's to enable organizations to make effective decisions. Okay. And then also AI powered writing tools. Tony touched on that a little bit more. We're going to see this year coming up in Q1 calendar year. There will probably be several releases that you've probably heard about while you're here of new content that's coming out, new tools that are coming out that are more reliable. We're actually working on the cutting edge of that as well in our organization. So just real quickly, I just want to take a sidestep on AI when we're talking about tools or platforms. There's a lot of different, but if it comes back to the user, comes back to performance, we're actually pushing the limits in some areas, not only from interactive learning experience platforms. I'm a learner, I'm trying to do this, I'm taking courses, but also from coaching one-on-one. We develop applications around one-on-one avatar-based coaching, role-playing, where you're able to we create custom avatars and how they perform and how they move forward. And you're able to have text generated in there to have scenario based. So there's different aspects to it and where we're working. And then also from the coaching perspective, we're working on that aspect to have those avatars interact with our customers and interact with people that are taking it, and also visual content. Not only from an image perspective, but also how it's interacting with different immersive tools like AR and VR, having it embedded into one platform as well. Okay. So hopefully I didn't inundate you with too much information, but kind of get excited because it's the fun new things, right? So like I said, if you're interested, we can show you some demos afterwards. Let's talk about personalization. So personalization has really taken over this year. Not only from the aspect of people wanting and expecting publishers and organizations to know their preferences, to be ready and actually giving that personalized experience. It's expected now. Well, how does that really work? Well, it's tailored experiences. So the data is being collected from the AI in the back end, generating that. But I think the most important thing is that personalization is really driving towards customer satisfaction, right? It's also providing, standardization towards, editorial workflows, and also providing a little bit more when it comes to reader satisfaction. And I think with personalization, as we progress forward and in publishing, it has become more prevalent than ever. And understanding, how do we approach that? So what should we be thinking about as publishers, as you in the audience, what we should be thinking about personalization, and what's the strategy behind that? Okay. So I will tell you, one size does not fit all, especially when it comes to personalization. It really takes a strategy, a robust strategy, to make sure that you're moving forward. And I will tell you, review that frequently. I work with a lot of customers on this, and we're doing like quarterly reviews, making sure that we're in alignment, because the technology will continue to change. But what is your stance as an organization? How do you want that personalization to affect not only excellence along your workflow, but also the output, where you're going to grow, how you're going to have it effective. And I think it's really important too to understand that personalization really gets targeted on 3 different things. Location is very important. The topic is very important. And then also reading behavior. So as you move forward and you start to think about the impact of personalization, you'll see more information. We'll actually be producing more articles and even ebooks for information that we're happy to share this with you as we go forward too. But if you take a step back and think about how immersive technology is going to affect us, what are those different points? And one of the quickest things that everybody says, what's the easiest way to get into immersive? Isn't the price point really high? What do we need to consider? How deployable is it? That's the fun part of it. So with deployability, I'm going to leave you today with a takeaway. So something is simple. What you're seeing up there, there's a code there. This is an avatar. Simple, we created this custom avatar. Her name is Emma. She will actually, if you open up your phone and open it up, she'll actually appear in front of you. Just follow the directions, and she'll talk to you about immersive technology. You'll be able to choose in between, AR, VR, and immersive talking, and you'll be able to select that. And she'll walk you through that, and she'll show you some different types of tools that we use as well. So something like that took a little time to create. Whether you're having a code created on materials or it could be something digitally, we create solutions that are easy to do, especially with VR. So in AR, with AR, like I showed you, very simple, very short. You wanted to get in something that's interactive. We can take any kind of your content and provide interactivity with it. One of the biggest successes we've seen, not only from that aspect, is also immersive or 3D interactivity with videos, where anybody can create it, any kind of content, and have somebody that's remote anywhere being able to open up that code on any kind of content and being able to interact with it. It gives you that much more of an interactive response to it. We've seen numbers increase from users. It's been incredible what we've seen. So like I would say, I just want to be able to wrap up and give you something for today. It's also part of our web series too that we have. We'll be releasing a couple other webinars moving forward. Both Tony and myself will be doing different topics, as we say. Please feel free to reach out. I think that we had a quick little bit of time today to talk about this, just to give you a little bit of high level. So I'd be more than happy to show you some demos. And at this particular point, we both want to thank you, but also open up for any questions that you may have for Tony or myself in the last few minutes that we have. Any questions? Where's the champagne, right? That's the question. Yes. Oh, that's okay. Emma's talking to you. There you go.
I was in a discussion yesterday. It was a very interesting question. In time of generative AI, who owns the content? Because at some point we don't know who's the author.
Very, very important point. And this is a legality perspective as well. Core should be the owner of the content, should be the initiator of the content. That's who owns the content. Now, depending on where the content is pulled, then the question comes from a legality perspective. And we were just talking about this too. I'm working with a lot of organizations with their new legal departments that have actually initiated the AI conversations with this. So it's a part of these conversations too. Where does the content start from? Where's the content pulled from? And then who's the owner of the content as well? Do you have any comments on that?
I mean, really, in a lot of ways, it is a mystery. So that's and that's a thing that I think it'll become less mysterious in fact, as these technologies develop, because then I think we'll be able to start mapping content back to its originator. But that, of course, we have to push for that, because it's not necessarily in the interest of those tools to do that. So,
any other questions? Anybody else? Wonderful. Well, we thank you all so very much for being here today. And like I said, come by our booth. We're handing out champagne, and we're more than happy to share it with everybody in the room. So greatly appreciate you here today. Thank you so much.